Thank you for joining me, Glen-Nora Tjipura, on NMH at 1, where we highlight the news making waves in Namibia and beyond, ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports, and economic news. Coming up in this broadcast, legitimacy of Mbumba's presidential status clarified. Oshakati Hospital cleaners claim unfair dismissal over taking leftover food, and school on the brink of deregistration turns to court. So stay tuned for these and more on NMH at 1. In our midday news update, Nampower has reported a power outage in the border towns of Ariamsvlei and Noorddower owing to an electrical fault at the Harib substation. The prevailing situation is due to an electrical fault on the second transformer at the Harib substation. Nampower technical personnel are currently engaged in transporting a replacement transformer from Windhoek. It is anticipated the supply to the affected areas will be restored by Wednesday, the 21st of February 2024, Nampower said. Nampower advised residents of the affected areas to treat all power lines and electrical points as live. The public is cautioned to treat all power lines and electrical points as live during power outages, as no prior notification is given when power supply is restored, the public utility company said. Now, Visual News highlights local stories from across Namibia right after the break. To stay with NMH at 1.
On behalf of the National Road Safety Council and all stakeholders in the road safety subsector, I extend our deepest and heartfelt condolences to the former First Lady, Madam Munega Kaingos, the bereaved family, the relatives, friends, and the entire Namibian nation on the sudden passing of our beloved President, His Excellency Dr. Hage Gottfried Kaingo. His leadership, resilience, and firm belief in systems, institutions, and processes will forever be kept and cherished in our hearts, as well as his belief in unity, inclusivity, and equality. I, on behalf of the National Road Safety Council and all stakeholders in the road safety subsector, join the rest of the nation in mourning the passing of our distinguished leader. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Getting into our visual news, Ronelli Guiriras, the principal and mathematics teacher of Dordabes Primary School, recently attended a workshop to improve mathematics teaching organized by the Japan International Cooperation Agency. Jemima Biekers gave this video. Let's take a look.
I am Ronelli Guiriras. I am a principal of Dordabes Primary School, and I'm also a mathematics teacher. I was presenting at the workshop organized by the Japan International Cooperation, JICA, in Swakopmund, and it was about curriculum development. So the mistakes that the teachers mentioned, the teachers from Erongo and Oshakati Hospital are part of the workshop. The mistakes or the challenges that they saw in the curriculum is that when they receive question papers, they see that the mathematics question papers in primary education, they see that the papers are not really up to standard. And they also talked about the mistakes in the textbooks, and that the classrooms are overcrowded, among other things. So I just thought that, and I advised the teachers as well as the inspector that was part of the workshop, that perhaps they can strengthen the clustering system. We have different clusters where a farm school, for example, is linked with a school in town, for example, Swakopmund or wherever. Like for us, it's Windhoek and a farm school, perhaps also a private school where they have all the resources. There is an expert mathematics teacher at a specific school, so they are clustered together, so the other teachers can actually learn from the expertise of a teacher at a different school, and then they can set up their question papers together, they moderate their question papers together, and then they learn from the expertise of other teachers as well through the clustering system. So my advice was that Erongo region should really strengthen the clustering system. But now Erongo region is very vast. Omaruru is part of Erongo. Omashede is part of Erongo. So the teachers are really spread all over the region. So maybe it's also a challenge. About the mistakes in the textbooks, my advice is that we live in the digital age. We live in the 21st century where a teacher doesn't need to be textbook based. You take a topic from the syllabus, you do your own research. There are materials on the World Wide Web.
Now, a recent visit to Ngoyi Combined School in Oshakati region has shown how the rural school is faced with a number of challenges. Firstly, the infrastructure of the school that was established in 1979 is dilapidated. Humongous cracks were spotted on the walls, which are on the verge of collapse. The toilets are an eyesore, and the filthy smell that emanates from them discourages both learners and teachers from using them. The classrooms are also overcrowded, and the school is pleading for good Samaritans to assist with the construction of another classroom block. According to the school principal, Miriam Ndayoa, their woes are known by the regional education leadership. However, they are told due to lack of resources, schools must try and raise funds to address their issues. Kenya Kambowe reports.
The whole block is just need renovation. Wala ya jamana ni mimi ina shipping ya partner una ni mawe ya ina kuchapo
ano hicho ni sina
hapo dai
mkabi
tadi mama amira ina enda these people, they are in danger.
Sure. The smell.
And then if any go, ne move like that.
Someone here.
Truly a concerning situation. With that, we've come to the end of our visual news segment. Moving on, after the break, the Namibian Sun leads us into the newspaper review segment.
Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Tufeni. What are you reading?
I'm reading about the Child Care and Protection Act in this pamphlet I got from school.
What's that?
It is Namibia's main law for the children and the issues affecting them. The Act classifies here that a child is anyone under the age of 18 years. Check out some of the rights meant to protect you. For more information, contact the Children's Advocate.
For more information, contact the Children's Advocate Namibia in the Office of the Ombudsman on 061 20 73 111. Send us an SMS on 20401. SMS costs 40 cents. You can also send us a message via our Facebook page. Remember, the services of the Children's Advocate are free of charge.
Getting into our newspaper review, starting off with the Namibian Sun, that reports the Damara King's Council has requested to be allowed to perform traditional farewell rituals for late President Hage Geingob, including spending a night with his remains. However, clarity on this was still pending on the part of the government last week. Council Secretary General Abner Huahup said, according to tribal member and activist Rosa Namises, the rituals are crucially important, especially for older members of the Damara people, specifically the Hua Kwabos ritual that bids farewell to the deceased before sunrise on the day of the funeral is close to the hearts of many members from which Geingob hails. Moving on to the Namibian Sun's page 3, the Kavango East and West regions stand as a clear reminder of the harsh realities faced by its residents, where gripping poverty has ingrained itself in the daily lives of many. Driving through the streets of Runtu, parents and their young children rummage through rubbish bins in a desperate search for food and anything salvageable. Moreover, in some remote villages, early child marriages are becoming increasingly normalized. Parents burdened by economic hardships are sometimes coerced into consenting to such practices, seeking financial benefits in exchange for the futures of their young daughters. Now, a recent Namibian Sun probe uncovered the adverse effects of early child marriages, such as health risk and child abuse by older men. The Republicans' front page reports on the high-level legal consultations which are taking place in government to determine whether mistakes and misinterpretations occurred with the swearing-in of Nangolo Mbumba as Namibia's president, or if he should have remained substantive vice president and acting head of state. Mbumba was sworn in as substantive president on the 4th of February, hours after the death of President Hage Geingob was announced. The swearing-in took place after Mbumba chaired an emergency cabinet meeting that Sunday. On page 3 of the Republican, the Education Ministry is threatening to deregister a private school in Oshikango based on allegations of malpractice during last year's grade 11 Namibia Senior Secondary Certificate Ordinary Level examinations. Savo Nats Private School is meanwhile barred from registering grade 11 and 12 candidates for the NSSCO and Namibia Senior Secondary Certificate Advanced Subsidiary with the ministry for the coming academic year. According to information received last week by Savo Nats Managing Director Shingirai Mbuzi, the ministry's Deputy Director for the Ohangwena region, Gula Palisha, is reportedly planning to enroll 19 of the school's full-time candidates in other schools because the ministry intends to deregister the school. Onto the Allgemeine Zeitung's front page, it leads with an article that takes a closer look at how the government is trying to obtain access to the reserves of the Namibia Special Risk Insurance Association, following last year's joint announcement by the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism and NASRIA, Nasria, which shared their intent to ensure the effects of Namibia's conflict. The MEFT Control Environmental Investment Fund has now also announced a cooperation agreement with Nasria, which incidentally also earns its money by selling compulsory insurance cover against political unrest to Namibian citizens. The EIF and the Nasria signed a cooperation agreement last Friday in Windhoek, according to which the two organizations intend to address the challenges of climate change in the agricultural sector. Moving over to the Allgemeine Zeitung's page 2, which leads with an article about a podcast that was released by the German broadcasting agency NDR In what can only be described as absolutely bad timing, the supposedly independent broadcaster NDR seems bent on forcing itself onto the political stage with assumptions and apparent hopes that are expressed under the supposed gaze of faith and conscience as it relates to the genocide in Namibia. This is done at a time when Namibia prepares to lay its deceased president, Hage Geingob, to rest. So while Namibia is still mourning its president, the broadcaster in northern Germany is speculating about a resumption of the genocide negotiations, as if such a resumption of negotiations would have previously failed solely because the late president Hage Geingob did not wish to have this resumed. Now after the break, we continue with more newspaper review.
Neopaints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neopaints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neopaints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Still with our newspaper review, the Namibian reports that some cleaners at Oshakati Intermediate Hospital are unhappy with the dismissal of 4 colleagues they claim were unfairly dismissed over eating leftover food from patients' trays. The cleaners who spoke to the Namibian last Tuesday on condition of anonymity allege that it is common practice for them to take leftover food from patients' trays after they have finished eating. On page 3, the Ministry of Health and Social Services Executive Director Ben Nangombe has urged mourners and sympathizers attending memorials for President Hage Geingob to implement COVID-19 prevention protocols. Nangombe said this given the fact that COVID-19 cases are being reported, particularly at Rehoboth in the Hadab region, and that mass gatherings of people are super spreaders of COVID-19. Nangombe said no other town in the country has reported new COVID-19 cases. Moving over to the New Era's front page, with this lead story reports that the Auditor General Junius Kanjeke gave the city of Windhoek a qualified audit opinion, but painted a precarious picture of its financial position, bringing its material existence into question. In essence, the city of Windhoek is broke. Kanjeke said in a 2020-2021 financial audit report tabled in Parliament last week that the city of Windhoek does not have a plan on how it is going to turn around the commercial insolvency and the deficit-making position in the foreseeable future. The report was compiled in September 2023. On page 3 of the New Era, National Assembly Speaker Professor Peter Kashavivi says Parliament supports the distribution of the basic income grant. He was speaking during the launch of a website called Namibia's Past. We hear you at Fast Media Namibia offices. We hear you at Fast Media Namibia offices last Thursday. This comes after Nafimane Hamukoshi, a youth, raised concerns about the BEAC, stating that the youth has lost hope in the Namibian economy. Moving over to Market Watch, which reports that Portugal Gulf Energia will pump more than $3 billion Namibian into its oil hunt in its Mopane prospect offshore Namibia this year. Speaking at an investor conference last week, Gulf CEO Felipe Silvia said the company has earmarked about 150 million euros as total capital expenditure in the Orange Basin this year. Everything is going according to the original plan, Silva told analysts. Gulf holds an 80% interest in the Petroleum Exploration License 83 with Namcor and local businessmen Knowledge Katis Castors Energy, each with 10%. Half of Castors belongs to Santana Energy. After the break, we take a look at our economic news.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouth-watering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours, and let the culinary adventure begin.
In our economic news, Namibia is set to pilot the 4-day work week starting in April for 6 months, according to Jonas Ileka from Paul's HR Network Namibia, who is spearheading the Namibian trial. Onboarding has started for companies interested in participating in the pilot. We're starting in April with the actual trial. In terms of the companies, it will depend on the interest shown. We're not targeting any specific companies. It's going to be a call for people to trial, he told The Brief. Regarding the likely benefits of the 4-day work week, Ileka said other studies have shown improved productivity by the workforce and profitability for companies. Let's get into our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 23.87, against the euro at 20.42. 2 Namibian dollars and 63 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the Namibia Stock Exchange, all major stocks remain the same. Overall index went up at 0.23%. On the commodities market, gold and platinum went up while copper and Brent crude oil went down. Brent crude oil trading at 0.56%, going for $82 and 78 cents per barrel.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Getting into our news from Africa, an intensifying conflict between the Democratic Republic of Congo's army and the Tutsi-led M23 rebels, allegedly backed by Rwanda, has disrupted food supplies to the eastern city of Goma, affecting over 2 million residents and displaced individuals. Clashes have escalated since the start of the year in towns and villages around the provincial capital as rebels seized territory, forcing thousands to seek refuge in the city. The use of heavy artillery and shelling has killed dozens, and hospitals in Goma have struggled to cope with the influx of injured civilians. The United Nations and other aid agencies have warned that the fighting risks worsening the humanitarian crisis in the eastern Congo region. After this short break, we'll be getting into our international news. The United Nations top court on Monday opens a week of hearings on the legal consequences of Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories, with more than 50 states due to address the judges. Palestinian Foreign Minister Riyad al-Maliki will speak first in the legal proceedings at the International Court of Justice in The Hague. In 2022, the UN General Assembly asked the court for an advisory or non-binding opinion on the occupation. The hearing will be held until February 26. After that, the judges are expected to take several months to deliberate before issuing an advisory opinion. While Israel has ignored such opinions in the past, it could increase political pressure over its ongoing war in Gaza, which has killed about 29,000 Palestinians, according to Gaza health officials. After the break, we'll be getting into our local sports news. To stay with NMH at 1.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour,
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Starting off our local sports, FNB Wanderers got the first bragging rights of the local 2024 rugby season when they won the Trustco United Tennis-Side tournament sponsored by Castle Light. The winning check of $15,000 Namibian went to the Wanderers as the only unbeaten team in the Premier Division in the absence of the previous year's winner, FNB Kudus. Teresa Gelata Ulfata from Ethiopia won the 2024 Zurich Marathon de Sevilla yesterday morning in a new record time. He beat compatriot Asar Abderrahman's 2022 record of 2 hours 4 minutes and 43 seconds to 2 hours 3 minutes and 26 seconds. Now, Suzel Prong recently traveled to Larnaca, Cyprus to compete in the K1 Karate Series Series A Championships rather. The tournament, which took place over the weekend of February 16 to the 18th, brought together some of the best fighters in the world to compete in various divisions. We'll be right back with our international sports news. Rasmus Højlund made Premier League history as the Manchester United striker's double ensured his side survived a scare from lowly Luton in their 2-1 win on Sunday. The Vodacom Bulls and DHL Stormers made it 2 out of 2 against the Emirates Lions and Hollywood Bets Sharks respectively in entertaining Vodacom United Rugby Championship derbies in what marked their second outings against one another in as many rounds. Luton captain Tom Lockyer has revealed his heart stopped for 2 minutes and 40 seconds during an on-pitch cardiac arrest that left his life in the balance. After the break, we'll be getting into our highlights. To stay with NMH at 1. Here are the highlights from today's broadcast. An intensifying conflict between the Democratic Republic of Congo's army and the Tutsi-led M23 rebels, allegedly backed by Rwanda, has disrupted food supplies to the eastern city of Goma, affecting over 2 million residents and displaced individuals. The United Nations top court on Monday opens a week of hearings on the legal consequences of Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories, with more than 50 states due to address the judges. FNB Wanderers got the first bragging rights of the local 2024 rugby season when they won the Trustco United 10-a-side tournament sponsored by Castle Light. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, getting up on the latest news in Namibia and beyond. From me, Glen-Nora Tjipura, until next time.